Welcome all to the community and the Constitution, where yes, the truth will set us free. How you doing, darling?
Good. How are you?
Oh, doing great. Oh, I think that's finally Jose just popped up on the board. Jose, is that
Yay.
you? Yep, got somebody out there. I don't know if that's Jose or not showing up on the board. Hear background noise. Huh? Maybe somebody just listening. Oh, boy. So how was your week? Huh?
Hi.
There we go. Yep, just somebody listening in. All right.
Okay.
Crazy start to the show. That's nothing unusual. I hear the little ones in the background.
Yeah, he's supposed to be sleeping, but he decided to hang out with us today, so that's totally fine by me.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Just means I better bite my tongue today, huh?
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, it's a little one. I try to anyway.
Thank you.
Oh, ho, ho.
Where is Jose?
I don't know, I got him. He's over there in the chat room. He's trying to get in. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why he's having so much trouble. He had trouble last week, too. Something with his Skype connection or whatever, trying to Skype into the show. And he's, for some reason, just not making a connection. Can't figure it out. Oh, well. Any hoot. Boy, slow start to this show tonight, folks, but that's all right. Just stick around. We're just giving people to pop on in. We have our e-letter finally released for this year. PAC Group's e-letter for January. Greetings from the Coalition. 2013 arrives with a vacuum in the truth movement. Ron Paul retires. Tim Turner is indicted. And the first 4 years of Obama finds many Americans finally understanding that America is a socialist country. More than ever, people are looking for the real truth, and PAC is poised to provide it. After all, PAC has been around for 14 years. Here's what to look forward to, gang, in 2013. Yes, the new release, the Red Amendment 2012 edition, is finally done and released. You can check that out over there at the PACalliance.us/Red Amendment. That will get you to that order. Also, we have the classes, and they're at introductory and advanced levels. You can check both of those out, see which ones you're interested in. And that's also over there at PACalliance.us/education. And don't forget to check out the PAC groups over there on Facebook. Facebook.com/group/PACalliance. And for those of you who are new, I've been running into a couple of different threads this week and discussing privately and openly with many different people. And if you get a chance, shoot on over there to the PACalliance.us/tour. And that'll give you a tour of what's going on. So, yeah, we got a lot of neat things to look forward to this year. And that is just the beginning of it all. Hey, there we go. I see Jose. He's finally made it in. There we go.
I got no clue. Hi, Jesse.
Hi,
how are you doing?
How are you?
What's up with the baby?
Good.
How's things going with the car?
Wait, what? Which one?
Huh?
Baby or the car?
The baby and the car and the other car and the house, and you rapid fired a whole bunch of questions at me, so I'm kind of getting even.
Okay, as you can hear, baby's doing just fine. Well, my old car is back to running where it's supposed to be now, yay, because I'm awesome. And my work car is running where it should be because I had to do a couple of maintenance issues to it, so that's because I'm awesome. And the house searching thing, I sent you a link to the one that I was, looking for. Not exactly what I wanted, but it's kind of like the example, because you asked me what was the perfect ideal house, land, etc. So I sent that to you. Did you get that?
Yep. I'll
Okay.
take a look. I'll take a look at it later. Okay, after the show and all that kind of.
Otherwise, I'm still doing my homework like you asked me to do, still searching and still looking.
Good. Okay, so hi everybody. I am so sorry that I'm late. I am so kind of computer dumb sometimes. I forgot that I have to open up 2 different browsers so that I can Skype in on one and log in on another. It's just a mess. So anyways, I have had, well, Doc, you wanted to start with something. We'll go with yours and then I'll go with mine.
Yeah, go ahead and go share that. I started a thread beginning of this week on education, and I put together, a handful, about 6 videos or so over there I found on YouTube, and I put a thread together over there on ATS about the dumbing down of American society, how the school system's a fraud, and it's all indoctrination and brainwashing, if you will. Get them at a young age. Kind of deal. Don't forget also the human resource, the HR. That's, you can get that. I think that's the link. You'll find that in the media section over there. The link is also within that thread and many other of my threads as well for that on the PAC site. But you'll find that in the media section over on PAC. I think that one's actually still linked to the old pacandlaw.org site. We still have a couple of things linked over there. We haven't fully gotten over to the pacalliance.us site. But they're both open. They're both in operation, so it just matter which site you go to. And you can watch the full 2-hour movie there, Human Resource, and how we went from being a personnel department and what is really going on here in not only here, but around the globe, actually. It's a global issue. And it's something we all need to be made aware of. But, the links are there. The thread was up and running. That's how I started the week off. Got tons of attention. And, of course, within that thread, other topics kind of pop up here and there. And I'm able to, not only speak about education and PAC's education, but, you get these people who are, to help them understand their brainwashing, I bring in the constitutional issue of things and understanding the law, and it all kind of combines together. And then this morning, of course, people bring in the viruses. And I was looking at over, yesterday I think it was, I was going through some of, one of the links that was posted within the educational threads to check out. And I actually went and checked out the guy's whole channel that he has. And he's got like 75 videos uploaded there. And it was on mainly viruses, the evil of viruses and what's contained in them. And that I basically spent, probably a good 5-6 hours going over the information within, following the rabbit hole and that he had laid out. And found that actually very fascinating and interesting. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what his channel name is there on YouTube, but I'll take a look for that later for you, so you can get it. I'm just looking real quick to see if I had it in my. No, I don't have it on right in front of me right now. But anyway, human resources, social engineering. You can get that on YouTube as well if you have trouble with it, finding it on the PAC site or having the Joel player load that movie for you, depending on the browser you're using. So today I started up my computer, and what did I find? Of course, what I find is something on viruses. So I sent that over to Jose to check out and look over, and if you can take care of that from there, it's all yours, brother.
Wow, Doc. Not at all what I was expecting you to break open with. Maybe I missed your message. I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, I sent you is the one from this morning.
From this morning. Oh, I read part of that. Yeah.
Banned ingredients. That could be the one.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. Yeah, there was one on viruses. I guess I didn't send that one to you.
Well, let me.
I looked through and it all linked. The one that really amazed me on the viruses ones that they had up was that there was like 80% in the one state. The people who got this particular, it's here in the Union I'm talking about, folks. I'm not talking about third world countries here. 80% of the children that were vaccinated actually caught the disease, that are dying or whatever, or having this issue. Another state was 84%. It's the numbers are crazy on this. The evils of it is real bad. And then the food, of course, it all links in with the food. And the food one is what I found this morning that I had sent over to Jose, giving him a chance to get that window open and check it out, because I haven't really looked into it too much, and he's a much better reader than I am. But it's banned ingredients that are still legal in the U.S. They've been banned everywhere else around the globe, folks, but they still allow it here. And here's some of the reasons why. And did you get that link up now, Jose?
I've got it up. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. You want me to read this? Sure. No problem. All right. Yeah, the title starts off, banned ingredients that are still legal in the U.S. And believe it or not, people, this is the truth. Okay? You think the FDA has your back? I'll tell you, no, they don't. But the article goes on. Sure, they recently proposed 2 new regulations to up food safety measures, specifically how food processors and farmers can work better to keep their fresh products free of dangerous bacteria. Remember that killer cantaloupe outbreak from 2011? But while it may seem like the government is out to protect us from bad, even fatal food-borne illnesses, which cause some 3,000 deaths a year, they don't completely have our best interests or health in mind. For numerous suspicions and disturbing reasons, the U.S. has allowed foods that are banned in many other developed countries into our food supply, says nutritionalist Myra Kelton, who, together with her husband Jason Kelton, a PhD, wrote the new book, Rich Food, Poor Food, due out this February. Okay. During a 6-year expedition that took them to 100 countries in 7 continents, the Keltons studied more than 150 ingredients and put together a comprehensive list of the top 13 problematic products that are forbidden by governments outside of the U.S. due to their detrimental effects on human health. If you see any of the following ingredients listed on the nutrition label, don't buy the product, Kelton warns. Leaving these bad boys on the shelves will speak volumes to grocery stores and food manufacturers about what informed customers simply won't tolerate. Related, 7 foods a nutritionist would never eat. Ingredients: coloring agents, blue 1, blue 2, yellow 5, and yellow 6, found in cake, candy, macaroni and cheese, medicines, sport drinks, soda, pet food, and cheese. And believe it or not, there's actually some other foods that they might have missed on that one list. But you got to look for yourself. That's why you got to read the ingredients. Now, why does the U.S. allow it? Because we eat with our eyes. We don't eat with our hunger. We eat with our eyes.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. You use your mouth to chew and blah, 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 but you still eat with your eyes. That's why you like that super-sized, extra humongous, triple burger with like 2 pounds of cheese on it. I like the triple burger anyways. Okay. the other ingredient, Olestra, a.k.a. Olean. And fat-free potato chips. Why the U.S. allows it? Procter & Gamble Company took a quarter century and spent $500 million to create light chips that are supposedly better for you, Kelton says. They may need another $500 million to figure out how to deal with the embarrassing bathroom side effects, including oily anal leakage that comes with consuming these products. But they're on your side. Not to mention, I'm sure, Procter & Gamble CEO, he's probably buddy-buddy with the CEO from Monsanto that took the place of the executive director of the FDA. But nobody knows about that.
Hey, Jose.
Yeah?
There's something else I would add in here that you kind of glanced over there. They tell you these things are bad. Well, they actually list the health hazards as well. And for the coloring agents, today most artificial colors, back in the day food coloring came from natural sources such as saffron and turmeric. Today most artificial colors are made from coal tar, which also used to seal and coat products to preserve and protect the shine of industrial floors. It also appears in head lice shampoos to kill off the small bugs. So it even tells you what the poisons, what the effects are on your actual body. Just like the Olean, that's the AK Olean on the Olestra for your fat-free potato chips there. The fat substitute appears to cause a dramatic depletion of fat-soluble vitamins and carotenoids, robbing us of the vital micronutrients, adding that many countries, including the UK and Canada, have banned it. And the list goes on, folks.
And the list goes on. And I mean, this is a short list. This is the short list. You guys should see the long list. It's amazing of how much stuff is out there that can kill you. Matter of fact, one of the there was a person in the government. She's got a PhD and doctorates and science degrees and I don't know what all kind of stuff. She flat out said, and I'm paraphrasing, but she flat out said that she does not know of anything that will kill by poisoning a human better and faster. And she said, and I believe she said better and faster than fluoride. Fluoride accumulation. Look for it in your toothpastes. Yeah, don't let your kids swallow that stuff. Okay, we're going to move on. Brominated vegetable oil, a.k.a.
Hey, Jose?
Huh?
Can I read this one?
Yes, you can take that one.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Brominated vegetable oil, a.k.a. BVO. And I read this morning, and I about crap myself because it's in one of my favorite drinks that I drink quite often. Also known, sports drinks and citrus-flavored sodas. Squirt. I'm drinking one as we speak. Sure shit, it's right on the can. Why the U.S. allows it? BVO acts as an emulsifier, preventing the flavoring from separating and floating to the surface of beverages, Colton says. Health hazards, because it competes with iodine for receptor sites in the body. Elevated levels of the stuff may lead to thyroid issues. I have an overactive thyroid. Hold on. Such as hypothyroidism, autoimmune disease, and cancer, Colton says. That's not all. BVO's main ingredient, bromine, is a poisonous chemical that is considered both corrosive and toxic. It's been linked to major organ system damage, birth defects, growth problems, schizophrenia, and hearing loss, which explains why it's been nixed in more than 100 countries, and I can't hear very well. Anyway, just had to throw that in there. But, yeah, I was reading this, and when I was reading this morning, I honestly sat there and I was sitting there just staring at my squirt just a minute ago, just like, I don't even want to finish it because that's disgusting. I'm putting that shit in my body. I'm killing myself. It's nasty. Sorry. Go ahead. Oh.
Read the next one, Jesse.
Okay, hang on. I got to get my son out of the garbage. Together.
No, really, this is...
There might be healthier food in the garbage can, Jess.
No, this is... Yeah,
He's supposed to be asleep, but he decided to take his nap at 2 instead of 4. So, yeah, you guys are going to hear him off and on tonight. Okay, potassium bromate, a.k.a. brominated flour, found in rolled, wrapped flatbread, breadcrumbs, and bagel chips. Why the U.S. allows it. This flour bulking agent helps strengthen dough, reducing the amount of time needed for baking, which results in lowered costs. Colton explains, let's see, health hazards. Made with the same toxic chemical oh my gosh! Hold on. Chemical found in BBO, brahmin. This additive has been associated with kidney and nervous system disorders as well as gastrointestinal discomfort. While the FDA has not banned the use of brominated flour, they do urge bakers to voluntarily leave it out. Oh, that's bullshit. Sorry, I haven't gotten that far yet.
I know. Okay.
Okay, what's this next one? I can't even pronounce it. I was always told
azodicarbonamide.
Okay. I was always told that if you cannot pronounce an ingredient, it's bad for you.
Oh, yeah. That is true.
That's all right. Read the penalty for this one. All right, this one that we're talking about here, it's azodicarbonamide. It's found in breads, frozen dinners, boxed pasta mixes, and packaged baked goods. While most countries wait a week for flour to naturally whiten, the American food processors prefer to use this chemical to bleach the flour as soon as possible. It's not enough just to ban this product in Singapore. You can get up to 15 years in prison and be penalized nearly $500,000 in fines for using this chemical that's been linked to and is primarily used in foamed plastics like
that's gross.
mats and sneaker soles. This is shit we're putting body, folks, okay? Every day, voluntarily just shoveling in the poison.
Okay. Now, let's all remember back. We're going to jump in the Wayback Machine. Woo! And remember we were talking about butter and margarine and what's that other the one that's, I think it's margarine that happens to be like one little iota off of being a plastic.
No.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
Yeah, butter's the pure, and the other one's, yeah.
Almost a plastic, yeah. Okay. Now imagine having some kind of a funky chemical reaction goes off in your stomach because of this junk and the other junk that's almost a plastic, and this is used in foam plastics. So what did you just eat? Well, you picked up one of your kids' toys and ate it. It essentially is what it's saying. You picked up a piece of plastic off the floor and ate it. And I'm sure that would...
got burned in my heater today. I've pretty much been breathing it all day. Does that mean I ate that too?
It could be.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Go ahead.
And we move on to the next one. Ingredients. BHA and BHT. And I really wish I had the longer version of those two words because I know how to say them. But neither one of them is very nice. Anyways, you find it in cereal. You find it in mixed nuts, gum, butter, meat, dehydrated potatoes, and my favorite, beer.
I don't drink beer.
Okay, what is it? What is it? You know, why the U.S. allows it? Because it's made out of crude oil, petroleum. You've heard of petroleum jelly. It's
Yeah.
called Vaseline.
Vaseline.
Yeah, just take a big old glop of Vaseline and spread it on something and, hey, have at it. Okay? These things are tasty. They're yummy. Personally, I use Vaseline for greasing up engine parts when I'm putting together an engine or a transmission, you know? That's what it's properly supposed to be used for. But hey, check this out. These waxy solids act as preservatives to prevent food from becoming rancid and developing objectionable odors. Kelton says, a better solution may be natural rosemary and sage. In 2006 study, some organic herbs and spices proved to be efficient at preventing oxidative decay in meat, which ultimately could improve the shelf life of these products. Matter of fact, the health hazards, California is the only state that recognizes the U.S. National Institute of Health's report that BHA may be a human carcinogen, a cancer-causing agent. Let's have ourselves another bowl full of yummy petroleum jelly. Okay, synthetic hormones. RBGHT.
Can I read this one?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jess.
Okay. Can I rant about this one a little bit after I'm done reading it?
Sure.
Okay. Synthetic hormones, RBGH and RBST, found in milk and dairy products. Why the U.S. allows it. Got to keep moving these things along. Dairy farmers inject cows with genetically engineered cow growth hormones to boost milk production by about 10%, according to Colton. Health hazards. Cows treated with these synthetic hormones often become lame, infertile, and suffer from inflamed and injected udders. Humans who consume these cows' byproducts are in no better shape. The milk is supercharged with that's IGF-1, which is insulin growth factor, which has been linked to breast, colon, and prostate cancers. Certain reasons, right there is the biggest reason, and I think I've said this to you two both before, the biggest reason I will not ever give my son pasteurized milk from the store is because of this. I'm sorry, I do not. I mean, there are children, there are girls that are, my daughter, okay, she's 9 years old, and she is, needless to say, bigger than I am, and there are 9, 10-year-old, 12-year-olds walking into bars because they're fully developed and, stuff like that, and also men that have breasts because of this RBST and RBGH, and I will not have that infested inside myself or my son, which is why I drink raw milk. People say the government says raw milk is unhealthy for you. You need to learn how to treat it, and you'll be okay. I'm not dead. Neither is my son.
Well,
I'm done
actually,
with that. You could go on
Jesse,
about that all day. I'm done.
Jesse, this is the milk that they're actually warning you about. They're not warning you about the normal milk that comes from a normal cow that isn't injected with all kinds of strange hormones.
Stop.
That's not the milk they're warning you about. The milk they're warning you about is this junk right here that's just, ugh. Really? Men need breasts at the age of 15 on their own bodies? That's kind of weird. Okay, and, then we go into related 3 healthy foods that aren't so healthy. Hey, anybody know what arsenic is? Arsenic is a poison. It will kill you quick, and holy smokes, does it do a job on killing you. Well, where do you find it? You find it in poultry. Poultry is chicken, any kind of bird product. Okay, why the U.S. allows it? Because Big Brother, FDA, And remember, they get their executive officer for the FDA from the special companies, the pharmaceutical companies. They get their executive officers from none other than your chemical companies like Dow, DuPont, Monsanto, and a few others that I'm not even going to bother mentioning. Okay, Big Brother FDA permits arsenic in chicken feed to promote growth, improve efficiency in feeding the birds, and boost pigmentation. Well, the arsenic affects the blood vessels in chickens and turkeys, causing them to appear pinker. Pinker. Okay? Therefore, fresher. Pinker in a bird means poisoned.
Yes.
Okay? But that's what Kelton says. Makes them pinker, and therefore they look fresher. Kelton says, all right, well, health hazards. The European Union has outlawed the use of arsenic since 1999, Kelton says, and the Environmental Protection Agency classifies inorganic arsenic as a human carcinogen. Take it into your own hands by sticking to organic birds only. And then, I mean, there's that was the short list. That really was. All you got to do is go to Google or Yahoo or whatever your favorite search engine is, and just type in GMO foods list, you know, or what foods are GMO. And you're going to come up with 3 or 4 pages. Check out the first 3 or 4. Take a good look at them. The truth is there. It's up to you to do the research and find out for yourself. Because if you don't do the research, and you leave it all up to me, you leave it up to Doc, you leave it all up to LB, or Jesse, or, you know what? You're not going to be able to kick back and say, hey, wait a second. They're not just messing with me and mine. They're messing with everybody, which is the problem. That is one of the main problems on this planet, is that they're messing with every single one of us. And if you don't believe me, go out there, do the research, follow the links I have followed, Doc has followed, and see things for what they really, really are. And then you come and you talk and you disprove. When you've seen it and you can disprove it, disprove it. But if you can't disprove it, guess what?
Shut up.
I was right. And there's no denying that I was right. That's like saying that, no, the 14th Amendment was never written. Yeah, it was written. It wasn't ratified correctly. It really wouldn't have a standing in law 150, 160 years ago. But today, because we have allowed it, it has standing in law. And law and medicine come from the Latin languages. And those of you people that think they don't come from the Latin languages, I tell you what, you're morons. You're being stupid.
Tell it, brother.
You're being led by the nose. There's people out there that are coming out and saying the most ridiculous, insane, asinine things I've ever heard in my entire life. They're trying to apply root words from the Anglo-Saxon language to the Spanish language, to Latin, to Greek. You try to apply Anglo-Saxon to the Latin languages such as Greek, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, French. Guess what you're going to come up with? A whole bunch of confusion and insanity. And you'll be the problem. You will be the problem. You are the problem. If that's what you're doing, you're the problem. You're in my way, and we're not getting any progress because of people like you. Got a problem with it? Call in. Talk to me about it, and I'll set you straight. But you got to understand where all this comes from. This is Rome that we are living in. Rome circa 2013. This is not Rome circa 500. That died a long time. That part of it died a long time ago. Yeah, it moved around. It went into Europe. It goes here. It goes there. It goes everywhere. But it came here, and now it's here. And now they're messing with the language enough to where people, you need to protect yourselves by questioning. You got to look up the etymology of the word. You got to know what the root word is that you are saying. And if you don't understand what I mean by root word, look up the definition for root. It's where it started. And uni, U-N-I, means one. It means one. It doesn't mean no. It doesn't mean un, because no and un are Anglo-Saxon based. Anglo-Saxon is Germanic based. Uni comes from unos, which means one. And it is Latin. It is not Germanic, it is Latin. And that's where you people are making the mistakes. You people know who I'm talking to because I'm talking to you.
You talking to me. You talking to me.
Not you, Doc. Not you and Jesse. But there's
I know what you mean. I just had to lighten you up there a little bit. I posted a link in the chat room. I did it for a reason. Believe it or not, you know more medical terminology. I use medical terminology because it's how I learned Latin so easy, because I went to medical terminology and I took that in college. And if you click on you know, it's all done in alphabetical orders. It gives you the breakdown. Medical terminology, once you learn how to break down a word, it's not that hard to understand. And we know more Latin than we, you know, may think. Like cardio. When I say cardio, what am I referring to?
Heart.
Exactly. Right. That's Latin. Cardio is Latin for heart. Okay? Can't break it down. If you look at under U, it goes from ULE, all right, at the end, word, ULN/O, UL/O. See, when you do medical terminology, it's broken down just like these people are trying to do. But my point is, it goes from ultra to UM to umbilica, UMBILIC, UNGU, which is your nail, okay, UNI, which is what we're talking about, uni, which is one, and then URAN, right, which is your palate. All right, it's not urine. URAN. Urination is uresis. UR. So the point is, there is no UN. That was my point of going through the alphabet of terminology with Latin. There's no such thing as a breakdown for the two letters U and N for meaning not. Now, there is a letter that does mean not in Latin, and that is the letter A. All right? Which means no, not, or without. Also, AN can be no, not, and without. AB means away from. Abdominum, which is your abdomen, okay? And you'll see when you look at this, you'll see all these slashes, /O. What that's telling you, it depends on if there's a vowel between one part to the next. An example is, all right, we have cardio, which we know is the heart. Well, you're not going to put a secondary O in cardio. It's not going to be, say, cardio, and then for a cardiologist, it's going to be cardio/ology. There's already an O there, so the O is not needed. All right. Ology simply means the study of. Right, so anytime you see ology at the end of the word, that is the study of the heart. Cardiologist is the study or specialist of the heart. Right, you actually read medical terminology in reverse. The word is cardiology, but we read it as the study of the heart, not heart study or heart specialist. And when you actually learn to read medical terminology and you're taught in college, like I was, you actually learn to read medical terminology and your Latin and whatnot. It's actually, you kind of read the sentence or the word in question backwards when you break it down. You read it forwards, translate it back, in reverse kind of deal. It's kind of weird. But anyway, I just wanted to let us know that's what we're talking about. So when you see words that start with UN, in un, meaning not, in the Anglo-Saxon definitions, it is not the same thing that is used, the same wording form and breakdown that is used when we refer to Latin. Now, there's two of the most common fields that's all they use, with very little exclusions, if you will. In other words, it always uses the Latin turned into English so you can understand it a little better. And that is, of course, your medical field and your law. Now, when we're talking about law, it brings us to contracts. All contracts in its language, although it looks to be standard, understandable English, each word has a very specific meaning and breakdown. Specific meaning and breakdown. In order to understand it and find it, you must refer back to the Latin breakdown of that word. You cannot break it down with UN meaning not, because UN doesn't exist in Latin in any form. So this is where people are getting confused and tricked up by certain people. It's pretty simple when you come to prefixes, roots, and suffixes. Prefix is placed at the beginning of the word to modify or change its meaning. Pre means before. Prefixes may also indicate a location, number, or time. The root is the central part of the word. Suffix, the ending part of a word that modifies the meaning of the word. Examples, homeless. Root equals home, and the suffix is less. It can also refer to a condition, disease, disorder, or procedure. Okay. So you're breaking the words down correctly, okay, and its syllables into its root. However, you're using the wrong breakdown formula depending on what you're trying to break down. If you're breaking down medical or if you're breaking down law, you must use the breakdown found, and I gave you that link for that, so it makes it real easy for you. It uses the Latin. All right? If you're not using the Latin breakdown of the word in question, and that word is in a medical or legal form or document, you're using the wrong breakdown. Since here we talk about the community, the Constitution, and law. So when we refer to words here, and people try to break it down and try to play law games using the Anglo-Saxon breakdown, is why they get laughed at, why they have no clue what the hell they're talking about. And they're going to say, oh, they'll call us names such as, oh, to bring your second grade education. Sorry you got that backwards, folks. Okay? We're trying to bring your kindergarten level of understanding and brainwashing into a college, more mature level. Chris is bringing up clearly at a certified insane. Yeah, he definitely is. The person in question is David Wayne Miller. Real nutcase. It's not that you're breaking the word down wrong. You're using the wrong translation to break it down. It's that simple. Once you understand and accept that, then you can go back over the document in question, such as the Constitution or any other law document, and use the proper translation and see the word more clearly. But as long as you insist on using the so-called Anglo-Saxon standard English that we have here and use the breakdown and understanding of, prefix, root, and suffix, using that when referring to law or medical, you will always be wrong. Period. All right? No way around it, folks. We give you the direction and the tools so you can do your own research. All right? Don't take our word for it. Do the research. But understand the document that you're utilizing the translation for. If it's just a novel, a short story, or, just a letter from one person to another, that's fine. You can use the Anglo-Saxon breakdown of standard wording and definitions that were taught from kindergarten through life, if you're here in the Union, since English is the primary language here. No problem. But when you're looking at what appears to be the same language, but it's attached to or part of or found in anything pertaining to law or medicine, you got to throw those rules in the garbage and learn the new terminology. That's why when you go to medical school or study sciences or anything else, they very clearly state and you learn medical terminology, because the breakdown of the word is totally different. It's based in Latin with a little bit of Greek from time to time, I believe, is the secondary that is used, or combination thereof. I'm not positive of that. That's remember you're talking 20 some odd years ago since I went to college, so it's been a long time. Don't remember all the little basics.
Well, Doc, actually, Latin and Greek are the primary two languages used in law.
Oh, okay. So it's same in medicine then, yeah.
Yes, in medicine also. Greek and Latin are the primary two languages used in those. But when you move from then to now, through the time period, let's say, you also start seeing that what happened in Europe, I don't think it was just in England, but I'm sure England was one of the most impacted. And then it came over to here, and now we're getting impacted by English that has had some small changes, because now English is the Germanic base plus the Latin base, and Greek base altogether, all three of those. All right. Then it comes across the ocean and it hits America. Oh boy. That's when it really started to blow up. That's when it really started to get some interesting changes. We are known as the great melting pot. This is where all cultures come to. Yes, maybe in England they had a little bit of an influence from India and a tiny little influence from China, and there was this little influence from over here. But when it hit the States, oh my God, the changes in the wording, and how we use words, how we put them together, words that we've never used before. I mean, a good word right off the top of my head is Didi Mao. That's Vietnamese. But if you try to define Didi Mao according to Anglo-Saxon words, you're going to come out with something completely different than hurry up. Because that's all Didi Mao means. Hurry up. And if I'm out walking, talking with my friends, I tell them, hey, Didi Mao. They know what I'm saying. But we all grew up knowing what those words say. And it would behoove all that speak English or want to speak English to learn English. But you got to look at the root words. You have to. If you're bilingual and you speak Spanish and English, oh my God, you see the root words, because those are the root words of Spanish. and you get to clearly see a lot of what's actually going on. You know? And I'm not trying to thump on my own chest or, exalt myself in any way. Yeah, I had a little tiny bit of call it a little bit of more learning that I had to do, picking up Spanish and English at the same time as a child. And that's it. And yes, that is an advantage. But it's not a humongous advantage. And it's not something that a person cannot, easily achieve. But it's the root word, the very bottom of the word, where it was first used, how it was first used, and what it originally meant. Like the word subject. I like that word, subject. You are a subject. Subject implies, in just the sound alone to me, I don't know about anybody else, but just in the sound alone to me, it implies that there's going to be a king or an owner somewheres in the picture, just because of the word subject. And then you look at the root.
Just sub. Anytime you see the word sub, what do you think of? Submarines. It's below.
Yep.
So automatically, just by using the word subject, the first thing that comes to anybody's mind is, you're below something, below someone, something, whatever that case may be. But you're definitely, in other words, on the bottom.
Yeah. And so there you go. But what's the root word? Serf. S-E-R-F. Serf. Serf is the root word. What's a serf? A serf is a slave to a king, or a duke, or a duchess, or something. A serf is a slave to royalty, to the nobility, to the aristocratic, to the aristocratic class. That's what it is. That's a serf. That's a subject. That's what they mean when they say subject to the jurisdiction. And if you don't believe me, go look up the etymology. Go look up the root word for subject. It's right there in front of you. Inferior. Inferior to. Exactly. That's right, Chris. We have to get our language corrected. We have to fight for it. Because if we don't fight for it, what are the kids going to be left with?
Well, that's the problem with law school and everything. Everybody's so confused because they keep messing around with things. Even in your medical terminology link that I gave you, you click on S and look up sub, S-U-B, and it clearly shows under, below.
Mm-hmm.
That I couldn't remember for sure, but it was obvious. That's the first thing anybody would think of. But yeah, it's the same thing in the Latin. And there's no ject. There's nothing under J, not in medical anyway, for ject. What is ject? Like you're saying, where is the root word?
Yeah, the root word is sub.
Right.
Serf.
Yep.
Under.
I also shared the link.
People, but like I was saying, and I firmly believe it, and I see it this way. I don't see it any other way. People that do not want to help, and maybe they do want to help. Maybe. Let's say they do. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt right now. I'll say they do want to help. But they're going about it incorrectly. And when they are proven wrong, they get hard-headed. When you show them different, they get so stubborn and hard-headed about it that they refuse to even go look. Well, isn't that exactly the same thing as not helping at all? If you're doing it backwards to what it's supposed to be, or if you're doing it incorrectly to how it's supposed to be done, and you get angry and you get stubborn and you get hard-headed and you get dead set in concrete that your way is the only way, even though somebody else is showing you different, you're not looking at least giving them the benefit of the doubt of possibly being right. Aren't you doing the same thing as the oppressors are doing? Aren't you doing the same thing as what the Illuminati and the Bilderbergers and the Marxists and the communists and all of those have been doing to us all this time? Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong in that point of view. I see what it is. I give others benefit of the doubt to prove me wrong completely. And I will go look to see what they have. And I'll mull it over until I get a clear understanding of both sides. And then I'll speak my mind. And that's why I'm here right now. Because people are out spreading bullshit and lies. And I'm not saying that they're doing it on purpose. Just yet. But I am saying that they're doing the same thing by misapplication and incorrect application. They are just as guilty as those that came before them that created the mess in the first place. There you go. There's your cross. There's your above and so below bullshit. That's how I feel about it. But that's how I see it. And I can prove it. And any problem with me proving it, well, I don't care.
So, Jose, why don't you tell us how you really feel?
Oh, you just got to keep on picking on me, don't you?
I love you, brother. You know it. You know it. There's an old maxim somewhere. There's a whole bunch of them around PAC, but one of the things, I know it came from one of the PAC things somewhere, and it's something that probably goes back further than that. But the people that are on the nipple of this system, if you will, I'm not quoting, mind you, they will fight tooth and nail with everything they have, from their last breath to their last bullet, to defend their benefits. They will never see or accept truth. They will believe the falsehoods, the misinformations out there, the disinformation agents. They will believe all these island makers and nut jobs and snake oil salesmen until they die. Because the truth that we teach, the truth in law, is hard to hear. And it's not for everybody. He goes, well, yeah, they say they want their freedom, but, oh, you mean I won't get my check anymore? You mean I can't get Social Security anymore? You mean I can't get disability anymore? You mean I can't? I'm not going to get food stamps anymore. I'm not going to have Section 8. I'm not going to have welfare. I'm not going to have. Like a freaking broken record, folks. That's all I ever hear. Then you must be crazy. Yeah, and they'll just huff and puff and shake their shoulders and walk away. I'll just go do this other thing. They'll go play the 50-50 Vegas nut jobs out there. You know, claim common law, claim the unit state, but claim a corporation, claim all this other crazy whatever nonsense that they come up with, that they mess around with the court systems. And I tell you folks, well, why does it work 50% of the time? If it was true and lawful, it would work 100% of the time, wouldn't it? So why do they get away with it 50% of the time? It's not that really that you won. It's that the courts have to allow these kind of things because it's all part of the same scam, folks. It's all part of the same private system. Okay? We have to let you win once in a while, or otherwise you may wake up one day and realize it was a lie, all of it. But if they let you win just once in a while, doesn't even have to be 50% of the time. If they just let you win even just 10% of the time, that opens the doors for those like Tim Turner used to preach about. Well, hey, it works for us. Look, you must have just did the paperwork wrong, or you must have used the wrong wording, or you must have did this. They'll put the blame back on you every single time, no matter who it is. If you lose using their techniques and their words and their bullshit, their response every single time will be, you must have screwed up somewhere. You either missed a lesson, or you didn't buy the right book, or you put the wrong wording in. It is always going to be your fault. It is never the snake oil salesman's fault.
Can I interject something real quick?
Absolutely, dear.
Okay. I came across this problem yesterday with a customer of mine who, and it brought me right back to the show when I first started listening to you guys, listening to you, Doc, about how we need to start looking in the mirror and stop pointing fingers. Well, I had made a suggestion to a customer about calling me before calling the paper company if I miss a paper or anything like that, and she totally twisted it and took it the wrong way and started pointing fingers at me and how I was rude and how I can and cannot tell her what to do and this, that, and the other, when all I asked her to do was to please contact me instead of the paper office because it charges me 50 cents every complaint off my paycheck. And I said, thank you. Where is that telling her what she can and cannot do, et cetera, whatever? I was sitting there looking at it, trying real hard not to cry. I'm on the verge of tears. I have been for the last 2 days. And I sat there, and I'm thinking about it, and she's pointing fingers at me when the truth of the matter is she needs to look at herself. She misread something. She misunderstood something so simple. I've thrown it on the back burner because she's one little tiny bug, so to speak. But I also realized one of those little tiny bugs, regardless of the problem, one of those little tiny bugs goes and is like millions of those little tiny bugs. Those little tiny bugs will come back and they will hurt. If you understand what I'm getting at. If you can continue that, please do so, because my brain is like totally molasses today.
Well, that goes back to a very simple biblical phrase, since we're all supposed to be so-called Christians here in the Union. But that's another topic altogether. Even in the Bible text, I believe that's both. You'll find it definitely in the New. It may even be, but the quote most famously used would be in the New Testament, supposedly from Jesus, and that is, before you go and point out the splinter in someone else's eye, go and remove the log from your own. And it all comes back to the looking in your mirror. When you come across those kind of people, and they're just going to be huffy-puffy, and, just like with this whole, you're wrong, because they're not going to want the truth. You know why? Because they're on the nipple. They don't want to leave mommy and daddy, In other words, big brother and sister, i.e. big government. The government takes care of me. Suck on that nipple. Fuck the world. Excuse my language. Sorry. Keep forgetting the kids up. But
no, it's fine. It's fine. I don't mind that. Go ahead.
But until we can turn around and honestly look at the reflection in the mirror and stop blaming the terminology, stop blaming the law, the lawyers, the forefathers, the 14th, everything. We need to stop blaming everyone else for our choices, for our problems, whether they were informed or not. And if they weren't informed, who's to blame? It still falls back on you. You didn't do the homework. You didn't read the contract. You didn't do the research. You didn't further your education. And I don't mean because you didn't get a high school diploma or anything else, because you didn't sit down to read a damn book. Okay? Well, they didn't teach me how to read. Teach yourself. Teach yourself. Or go outside and find somebody to help you. Okay? The only person stopping you is you. The only person to blame is you, no matter what. All the rest is nothing more than excuses. Okay?
Exactly.
You don't have enough food? Who's to blame? Government because they didn't get your food stamps that month? No. Because you didn't go grow your food. You don't have a roof over your head? Who's to blame? The bank for foreclosing on you? No. You. You agreed to pay X amount of dollars, and you didn't pay it. I don't care. You lost your job. That ain't my problem. You owe me the money. The collateral you put up was the house that I put up for that loan. Sorry, it's my house until it's paid in full. Well, even then, it's not really your house because you got to pay property tax on it. Because the government really does own it. And you don't have a low deal title. But who's to blame? Not the bank.
No.
Not anybody's fault, folks, but ourselves. Why did your family break up? Oh, because all the crap on television. No, it was because of you. Right? Largest percent of marriage problems in the union, or couple problems, period, okay, in the union, comes down to money.
Scored that one.
One is usually a saver, the other one's usually a spender. Sometimes they're both spenders. Sometimes they're both savers. Okay. But the root of the problem is the way we've been taught and brainwashed to handle our finances. We don't live within our means. It's too easy to fill out the contract and take a credit card.
Got it.
We don't go out and fix up our old cars. No, go out and buy a new one. Sign the contract. And that's all well and good if you own your own business and it's stable. You really actually have the money to pay for it, but you're just trying to establish credit. That's okay. That's a understanding and proper use of credit. But you're working at McDonald's. You don't know if your job's still going to be there tomorrow, and you're going to go out and sign a contract for a new car or a used car, but still a contract to owe somebody, a lease, a lien, whatever, against that vehicle because you didn't pay for it in full. And you lose your job, fault of your own or not, you can't blame the auto company for repossessing your car. You broke the contract.
Yep.
Okay? We got to look at ourselves. We got to stop what we're doing. Just stop. Wherever we are in our lives, stop. Right now, just stop whatever you're doing. and think, is this path working? The path I'm on now has led me to this. Is here, right now, the place in my life I expect to be or that I want to be? If the answer is yes, then keep going. It means you're doing something right. But if the answer is no, turn around. Make a U-turn. Start doing something different. Start following a different path. That is countless times. Every hour, every minute, every second. Breath. We have to make a choice. And it's a simple choice, really. We can either love or we can hate. Make a sheet up, folks. Take out a piece of paper, fold it in half. On one side, write the pros. On the other side, write the cons. If the pros don't outnumber the cons, then make a different decision, or make the decision, in other words, in favor of the pros for that. Everything is in our own hands, folks. No matter what it is. No matter what choices are yours and yours alone. If you're married, you have a partner, then there's kids, whatever the case may be. It always comes back to you. You make that final choice. It's time to come together. It's time to put the bullshit aside. It's time to stop worrying about the government nipple and what is it going to cost you if you do something different. It's time to stop what we're doing. Turn around and take a different path. There's always hope out there, folks. There's always a way back from wherever treacherous paths we may have been on before. Just turn around, make a U-turn, and head the other way. Never give up hope. Keep in mind those that came before us, what they gave up to face the unknown. They took a different path. They stopped in their life. They realized, hey, this isn't what I wanted. And they went to find it elsewhere. With that, play a little Island of Hope, and we'll be right back.
your 15 years. I love home, I love tears, I love freedom, I love fear, but it's not the isle you left behind. That isle of hunger, isle of pain, isle you'll never see again, but the isle of home is always on your mind. In a little bag she carries all the past and history, and her dreams for the future in the land of liberty. And courage is the passport when your old world disappears. But there's no future in the past when you're 15 years. I love home, I love tears, I love freedom, I love fear, but it's not the isle you left behind. That isle of hunger, isle of pain, isle you'll never see again, but the isle of home is always on your When they closed out Ellis Island in 1943, 17 million people had come there for centuries. And in springtime when I came here and I stepped onto its pier, I thought of how it must have been when you're 15 years. I love hope, I love tears, I love freedom, I love fear, but it's not the isle you left behind. That isle of hunger, isle of pain, isle you'll never see again, but the isle of home is always on your mind. Isle of hope, isle of tears, isle of freedom, isle of fear, but it's not the isle you left behind. That isle of hunger, isle of pain, isle you'll never see again, but the isle of home is always on your mind. But the isle of home is always on your
And we're back. I hope you guys are all enjoying our show this evening.
Well, I'm trying to, but you know, that Jose guy, he just keeps on messing it all up.
Yeah, I know.
Man,
What
you
are you
just
gonna
getting all pissed off, man.
Well, you know, I'm
It's
kind
all
of
right. I'm all for it.
I'm kind of one of those people that you know, I really don't care what you do in your life. you want to mess around with your life, go ahead. You want to mess up your own education? Go for it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You want to sit there and jump head first into a brick wall all day long? I am not going to stop you. I am not going to put a mattress in front of you or anything like that. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to watch you. I'm going to drink my coffee, smoke my cigarettes, and laugh the entire time.
Probably.
No, this is a fact. I will, because I'm like that. But the moment that somebody else does something and that something finds its way into my life and starts making an impact on my life, on what I'm trying to do, on my pet peeve, or on my hobbies, or any tiny little thing on my life, including tying my shoes, you know what? That's when you've got my attention, my full, complete, and undivided attention, and that's probably not a good thing to have. Because I will do my best to correct whatever it is that person did. And I don't care how many toes I'm stepping on. And I really don't care who gets angry about it and all butt hurt. I really don't.
Yeah.
I care about the way that it is and the way it's supposed to be, and which one of those is the truth, and how do we get there. That's what I care about. And I like to help people. But when I go to help somebody and they come back at me with something completely different, and I'm like, no, wait, hold on, calm down. You got to look at it for what it is from this direction.
He does. He does that with me all the time.
And people are like, oh, no, well, I know it's this, and they stick to that one point. All I can do is say, all right, well, I know where you got it from, and that's where I'm going to attack, because that source is the wrong source, and it needs to be discredited and destroyed and gotten rid of, just like the rest of the communism we have in this in the whole world.
No.
Because that's who it is. That's exactly who it is that's causing all this. It's a bunch of communists. They're communists. They're Luciferians. They're Rosicrucians. They are Illuminati. They're all kinds of crap. And none of it's worth a damn. Not a single bit of it has ever helped anybody but the aristocrats, the super rich, the powerful, the kings, the queens with their guillotines. And I care about my fellow man. I care about the guy that, has to get his butt up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning so that he can be at work at 7. He slaves all day, and then he comes home, has dinner with the wife, spends a little bit of time with the kids, and she's been gone all day working her job, and the kids have been at school, and it's all so hectic that nobody has a family anymore. It's about family. Family is the very basis of everything. And that is the one thing they are doing their best to destroy today. They are. I can prove it. Tell me there's a war on women. There is no war on women, except the one that the government started. Tell me there's a war on children. Well, there isn't, except for the one that the government started. Is there a war on men? No, it's the one that the government started. Mm-hmm. And when you have a woman and a man and children, what do you have? What unit do you have that cannot be taken down regardless? You have a family unit. And that is what they are putting war against. That's why child services bust into people's houses and they steal their children and they take them, and God knows what they do to them. But I've heard and I've seen a lot of people say that their children got put on psych drugs.
I did. I went through exactly what you're describing. The state of Washington came in and took myself and my brother for reasons that were not even valid. They just came in and took us, didn't even validate any of it, and literally destroyed my family. My parents got divorced because of it. That's exactly it. He's right. Listen to him. It happens. I'm one of the cases that they put on medication and everything that he's talking about. Sorry, had to interject. Just go on.
No, it's okay, Jess.
Sorry.
It's okay, Jesse. It's okay. Because that leads me into the next part of it. Because, yeah, there's some children, okay, they go, they come out of really horrible houses where maybe, the parents are deeply involved in drugs and, stealing and all kinds of law breaking and stuff like that. And the kid is traumatized already, so they take that child and they put him into what is a stable home. The child himself destabilizes that home. And I have seen this in my own family. I have a set of cousins that they followed my father's example and they adopted a child. The child was way too old to have been adopted and should have been ignored. But that child accused the adopting man and woman of all kinds of heinous crimes. And my family suffered for it. And believe me, look, I'm an adopted kid. But I was adopted at a very young age. I was, 1 year old, possibly lower than that, when I was adopted. And I don't think I turned out too dang bad. I am a threat to my enemies, and I do my best to be an asset to my friends. But this child that was adopted, she turned out to be a threat to her friends and an asset to her enemies. And that's not all that these kids go to. Some of these children that come out of the Child Protective Services or Child Assistance Services and those types of organizations, they get shipped off to places that we don't know because they get ripped out of their families. They don't get put into another family. My suspicion, and some reports that I have read, there's a couple of videos on YouTube that you might want to check out. You might want to look them up. There's a priest from, I believe, Albania. He lays it on the line, and he says it. A lot of these kids are coming from Child Protective Services and CSA, and they're being jammed into prostitution rings and stuff like that. That's not right. But hey, those agencies, they got to pay for their own, they got to make money because that's their job, is making money. Their job is not protecting anything except for themselves and their jobs and the people above them. And that is criminal. And we've got to stop those elements. And it's those type of elements that have been destroying the family unit. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to just go ahead and push it. There's a movie. Go ahead and Google this. There's a movie. It's called Agenda. Grinding America Down. That's what it's called. Agenda. Grinding Down America, or Grinding America Down. Something like that. It's free to watch. and it's on Vimeo, and it's very interesting. As a matter of fact, I tell you what, when you go to watch it, take notes. Take notes about what's actually going on, and your eyes will be so open to the current agenda. This is like 1950 and till now type of a thing, 1960 till now. I'm not talking about the stuff before that, just yet. But it all ties in. And you'll see in there, they mentioned Karl Marx and how, who was that? The guy with the gravity thing. Doc, help me.
I can't remember. I watched the movie. Actually,
yeah.
I actually played it twice, but I'm lousy with names.
The one of them does not Einstein. One of Newton.
Newton's law of gravity. Yeah.
Newton is one, and the other one pushed. This thing where it's the fight between religion and science. No, not Tesla. Anyways, agenda.
Anyway.
Here. Anyways, Karl Marx got a hold of the two. Psychiatry is one side, and the other side is the law of how we're all animals and not spirits and stuff like that. And it clearly explains how Karl Marx tied it all together to justify his version of communism and his war against the world, against every single one of us. Yeah, that movie right there. Thank you for posting that, Jesse.
You're welcome. Yeah. Beat you to the punch, Doc. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, you usually do. And I
yeah.
actually had it a minute ago, but then I was switching around and I ended up closing the wrong window because I forgot to post, because they're actually on ATS on it. It's only about 4 posting, and I actually put my own post in there for the currently airing full movie here on it, that when you set it up for me that day and you sent it to me to check out, I checked it out and I real quickly put a response in because they didn't have the link for it. They only had the trailer. So I went in real quick and put the link. Unfortunately, you can't put the Vimeo, whatever it's called, Vimco, whatever it was, link. You only put the link. In other words, you can't post the actual movie itself like you can with YouTube and Google bids right on the ATS thread. You can only post the links. I also did post there in chat on my social issue link for the ATS thread on UN mandated the kidnapping of your children, which goes into the social services video and whatnot. UN mandates the kidnapping of your children. Parents are killing themselves and their children, and they are stealing a child every 20 minutes in the UK and one child an hour here in the USA. There's a video link there, which is posted on YouTube. They started about 45 minutes in for that information and much more on the whole situation. We've seen how the social service departments work here in the USA and have done so for such a long time. We have become compliant to this madness. It may be too late for us, but for everyone else, please do all you can to prevent this kind of thing from taking roots in your backyard. These are my postings about this particular topic. So if you get a chance, you can check that link out. The vid's there. It's on YouTube. Actually, I'll put up the direct video link for that. Excuse me, just take me a second to get it over to the actual direct YouTube link. There we go. It's about, it's 2 hours long, the video, but about 45 minutes in is where the information talks about the UN, pushing the whole social service, if you will. And that's what the whole thread in the movie goes in a whole bunch of information. 30 cents a day. And there was also, we brought up in that thread, yes, for just 30 cents a day, you too can sponsor a child in a perfectly independent, wealthy Western country.
Yeah.
But they went into a lot more detail. I'm not going to read through the whole thread, but feel free to go over there and put your, watch the video, a lot of evils and whatnot about and referring to the so-called social service industries, and it links in all, of course, with the other link you'll find within that thread. The other video I posted, you can also find it on the PAC channel, and that's part 1 and part 2 of John Perkins' Confession of an Economic Hitman. If you've never listened to that, it's not nothing to watch. It's just him being interviewed and sitting in front of a mic. He wrote this book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. He actually tells you his life story, scary stuff, and so true, exactly what his job was, how they went about it, taking down all these countries around the globe. It's really mind-blowing, all the information you're going to find in that, just those 2 vids alone. If you watch that first one there, you watch Agenda, you watch this 2-hour movie on the social services issue, and you watch the John Perkins, boy, I can't talk tonight, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And if that doesn't totally blow your mind and keep you thinking and opening your eyes for the next couple of weeks, I don't know what the hell will. Quite frankly.
That one with the Economic Hitman, that's awesome. Oh, I like that one. But I really liked Agenda. And why did I like Agenda? Because last year there was a really good man who was in this fight with us on our side. His name is Andrew. I know you guys know who I'm talking about. I don't remember his last name right now. But the powers that be, he took them all on. And he came out and he said he had proof that would vet Obama. And what he meant by that is he had proof that would prove that not only is Obama not American-born, but he's not pro-American in the least bit. He is as anti-American as it possibly gets. Well, I watched Agenda. Oh my God, Andrew would be so proud. This movie, Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart, I think he had something to do with this movie. I really do. And if he didn't, I would be surprised, because they both went along the exact same tracks. What Andrew Breitbart was putting out, what this movie puts out, and what Glenn Beck put out 2.5, 3 years ago when he was still on Fox doing that big thing that created that big mess right before he got out of Fox.
I miss Glenda.
Those 3 right there, those 3 proved what is actually going on. They show you all the connections, and they show you who is involved. And they name names, and that's the cool thing about it. They will give you names of organizations. It specifically mentions George Soros, Bill Ayers' wife. I don't remember what that cow's name is. Hillary Clinton, and a whole a whole range of others. But it's a very good movie to help you see what's actually going on. Now, please understand that there, in some places, the words that they are saying aren't exactly the words that they're meaning to say. Like when they say democracy at times, they don't mean democracy, they mean the republic. But see, that right there goes back to our educations and the correcting of our educations, the correcting of our verbiage, because it's also affecting their side. You get it? It's affecting both sides, and that's where the agenda fails. Their agenda, not the movie, but their agenda, and you know who they are. I've said them. I've spoken about them a bunch of times. We all know who they are, but their agenda is not some sort of conspiracy. There's no conspiracy. It's not in the hidden. It's all in the open. It's all there for all of us to read. It's all there for all of us to look at. And that's all we got to do is read it. We got to look at it, read it, see what it says. You know, and listen to what these people are saying because they're telling us. But yeah, and those three movies, yeah, that will definitely should keep you busy for at least 3 days. If you go through them each, say a minimum of 2 times, I would recommend 3 times each. That way you really get the message and you can sit there and look at it without feeling completely disgusted anymore. You know? And yeah, it's about time somebody did it. Holy smokes. But it's out there. And they're going against the family unit. Right now, they're really going up against the American family unit. Obama, in his drunken state, power drunk, I mean, has gone and laid out these 23 points of what he can and cannot do, what he will and will not do, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, there's people that are out there going, oh, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. You know, he's not going to take your guns. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do... Well, in there, he says that he can take whatever gun he wants. And yes, it says it. I believe it's either .9 or 13. But you can take all of those points and you tie them all up together into one neat little package. And guess what? He's given himself full control of absolutely everything that has anything to do with the Second Amendment. All 23 points tied together. And bam, there it is. Second Amendment out the window. Guess what? I found something that tied into the First Amendment. And I've been trying to spread it. Been trying to tell people about it. It's House Report 347. HR 347. Go in there. Look it up. Read it. Read it for what it says. It's very short. It's only like 2 pages, maybe. I'll summarize. You know, not only do you not have First Amendment rights to protest on any government property, but you have no First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights or any other kind of right on any government property. And guess what? You know what an easement is? When you own a piece of dirt, you have an easement. This is the common way. What I would call the common way. That's where you walk. That's where you drive. That's where you travel. It's called a road. You have one easement in the front of your property. You have another easement in the back of your property for an alleyway, so that people can get through back and forth and do whatever they got to do. Government workers can go about their business and, take care of their contract, the government's contract, the city's contracts and stuff like that. Well, if you go to protesting and on one of these streets, and this is going to come out. This is going to come out. Just watch. It shows that you will be breaking a federal law. And that federal law will prove that you no longer have a right to protest. And there goes your First Amendment rights. That's why status is so important to all of us.
Right.
PAC in law has, LB wrote about it. LB says it. It's your status that counts. And your status as a subject means that you are below someone. If you correct your status, you become a state national. That changes everything, doesn't it? It flips it around on them. You are no longer below them. At worst, you're equal to them. And you are protected in natural law, and you are protected in common law. Natural law and common law are the top two across the board all over the planet. The third one down, if you want to use the third one down, it's called the Uniform Commercial Code, and I don't see why in the heck you would. But that is in the commercial realm, and that is further contracting into and with the government. And what do we always say? What do we all know that happens to be the solid truth, and we know it so well that we want to get rid of them? The contract makes the law. And if you're over there contracting further into the government by using the UCC, guess what? You're screwing yourself. And if you're passing this on to people, the UCC redemption and all that other stuff, you're screwing people. You're not only messing up yourself, you're messing up other people. You really are. And you're doing it intentionally, which I don't like. I am not doing this. I am not fighting for all of us to have corrected status with correct rights just so that somebody else can be out there spreading lies and telling it how it isn't and making more of a mess for me. I don't think LB's in it for that. I tell you what, he is a very kind-hearted man. I can understand his point of view at times because he's had enough.
Yeah.
But I've had enough. I'm sure Doc has had enough. I know Jesse's had enough. Chris has had enough. I can tell that by the way he speaks. And that's just from writing. I don't think I've gotten to talk to the man or to Chris online or live. There's a few of us that we know each other's voices, and I don't think any one of you is in for it. I don't think any one of you would fight for this. If you knew that it was going to turn out this difficult, that at every turn we meet resistance and truth. We're trying to put out the truth. We're trying to tell people how it is and where it's going, where it came from. And all they're just sitting there doing is going, well, that doesn't mean squat to me. Oh, but it's this color. Oh, no, but it's this color too. But all the colors are exactly the same. It's like 5 billion shades of gray. No, there's no shades of gray. I'm sorry. You need to get that out of your heads And when people start talking about shades of gray, tell them, look, there's no shades of gray. It's black or it's white or it isn't. It either exists or it doesn't exist, or the problem is coming from the person's own ideas. You know, because statutes are just rules. And to a state national, statutes are mere suggestions. It's a suggestion. Please do not go over 55. Well, I'm a state national. You know what? I'll do it, but only because it may be dangerous for me. And I don't want to hurt somebody else. And that's the proper point of view. But when you get into, look, you ain't going over 55 no matter what you want to do. Oh, that's a different story. That is imposed. Imposed is not the same as self-willed. Just like greed and selfish are two completely different and separate entities. I can be selfish. Everybody is selfish. Why? Because everybody has to survive. That is one of the number one driving factors of life. And I defy anybody to prove me wrong on that. Everybody, and everything, every animal, every plant, every individual, male, female, on the entire planet wants to survive. That is life. And you have to get into the nooks and crannies of life if you want to understand it. And we here in this group, in this small group, we've gotten there. We've reached that area. We have a long way to go. We have a long fight. I never said it was going to be easy. But then nobody ever promised me a rose garden, did they? Anything to add to that, Doc?
Oh, I got all kinds of things to add. We're actually, I was going to give you a heads up there. We're in the last couple of seconds there for the live show so we can say goodnight. But I said goodnight to everybody in the chat, so they'll just have to catch the rest of the show in the archives. I also posted the call-in number. You guys get into the habit there, by the end, if you can, call in 714-868-0749. Even if you don't want to get on the air, but if you want to continue to listen to us going at the live session instead of having to wait for the archive to load, since we usually do another hour on average after the two, please feel free. You're always welcome. Join us. If you want to get on air, you hit the 1 and put your hand up, and we'll get you on air with it as well. I do want to touch on a couple of things that were coming up in the chat we were talking about as you're going on there, Jose. And please mention a couple of things. And I tried to explain it in chat, but in chat it's so hard to do anything. Especially with me, because I'm so long-winded with a lot of stuff. But Please has been with us for a while. He says, under the impression that the U.S. Constitution does not apply to the common man, and therefore the Second Amendment does not apply. Damn it, somebody else put something in chat and I lost it. Hang on, I got to scroll back up here.
Sorry.
And the Second Amendment does not apply to us, it applies to the states. All this argument over the Second Amendment seems to be a big red herring. What he's referring to, of course his wording may be a little bit off, but I don't want to put words in his mouth. In the beginning, the federal Constitution, prior to 14th Amendment, had nothing to do with the population, meaning you and me. Nothing. It's a contract, our names ain't on it, had nothing to do with us. Each state, i.e. country making up the Union, has its own Constitution. That is the Constitution, depending on where you live, that you would have to be concerned about. And almost all of them contain the organic aspect of the federal Constitution. So yeah, the Second Amendment still may fall, may be classified as your gun rights. This was all well and good, and that applied to the common man. Okay, not the federal, but at the state level. Those constitutions applied to the everyday individual, where you had those rights, and those rights were secured until the 14th Amendment came about. The 14th Amendment took all people out of their rightful nation, their rightful country, and placed them and made them all citizens of the 10-mile square of the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., which is not a state, it is not a nation, it is not a country. It is foreign land within the Union. Okay? It operates with certain powers to represent the Union, as it was originally set up, to represent the Union on an international scale, on a world scale, for trade, if you will. The mistake that the states did in the organic Constitution, if you will, they gave up the power of treaty to the organization, the company. It's always been a company from day one. That's why I don't like using that word, because people get confused. Today, however, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, and all the rest of the organic amendments of the Constitution, even our state constitution, since all the states, especially in the South, were forced after the Civil War, when this whole 14th Amendment and everything was going about, and after the war between the states and all happened, they were forced at gunpoint to correct the verbiage, or not so much correct it, but to add and include the verbiage of the 14th Amendment. So therefore, it doesn't matter if you go by your state constitution or if you go by the federal constitution. You're screwed either way. So all of the organic stuff doesn't apply to you, me, Joe Blow, anyone. So the Second Amendment bullshit is really just a red herring. It's all just bullshit because it doesn't apply to you anymore. Because you have no choice. If you have to get a permit, i.e. requires permission, okay, if you have to get a permit and permit needs permission, then it is no longer a right. It is a privilege. That's how you know if it applies to you. If you truly had a Second Amendment right, such as one with status as a state national, no permit required. Now the organic Constitution comes back into a play with your both the federal and your rightful countries' constitution, because they pretty much all say the same with very slight different changes, if you will. But really, your only focus is your local, your country, rightful country, your state you were born in, wherever you may be residing, type of deal. That's what you have to be concerned with. And in there, your rights, your organic rights are secured. Freedom of speech, right to bear arms, etc., etc., etc. If you're a citizen, those rights do not apply to you. You have privileges. You are bought and paid for. You're a slave, a serf, a subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that 10-mile square. It's really that simple, folks. So yes, the whole BS about the red herring of the Second Amendment and all the rest that people are out there blathering about, they ain't got a friggin' clue what the hell they're talking about. Okay? And we can go to the next level with it. I mean, the Second Amendment is important, especially if you're going to be a state national. Yeah, you really want to understand all your rights. But even as a citizen, the Second Amendment's important. However, very few understand it. And this is where, again, as a citizen, it doesn't apply to you. If you read the rest of the Second Amendment beyond the right to bear arms, okay, it has to do with a well-regulated and organized militia. Those are the ones who have the right to bear arms, not you and me. That's why you need permission. You need a permit. Now, who was the militia? That's every man, woman, and child capable of carrying a gun. You were considered part of the militia. The first militia was set up by George Washington. He started the first militia. Okay? Again, well-organized, regulated militia. Many states still have officially recognized, well-organized militias. Not just the militia groups you see all over the place. Some are good, some are bad, some are really out there. But look and see. You'll actually discover that the state, the state still recognizes a militia and have their own set active militia. Okay. Now, and people sit there, what are you, crazy, blah, 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 blah. I said that once to my brother-in-law. This one, we were in New Jersey. And, you know, the conversation was, you know, in the evening, I was getting ready to go to bed, and it came up some way, somehow. Something popped up on a TV or radio or whatever it was. And the topic came up. I said, well, yeah, New Jersey has, applies to us because New Jersey actually has its own militia. We have a well-regulated militia. I used to go camping with the guys, some of the group. And he just looked at me and he's like, yeah, you're crazy, whatever, and I went off to bed. He works a night shift. I worked a day shift type of deal at the time. And he, kind of passed across. The next time we crossed our path, he looked at me. He said, when you went to bed, I did some research. I found out you were right. I told you. Then, people sit there and tell me all the time I'm nuts, I'm crazy. Then they go back and they do the research and they're like, you were right. I'm like, I knew that. So, it's the same thing with PAC. When you first find the People's Awareness Coalition, you get involved in the PAC's PDFs and you start looking over this stuff. Oh, this is crazy. This guy must be nuts. He's off his rocker, blah, 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 blah. And then you actually follow the footnotes and the links and you look at it, and you look at it yourself right out of the law dictionaries, and you sit there and says, country, state in which one was born. Oh, shit. Damn. He ain't so nuts and crazy after all. So the light starts going on, and when, trust me, within the first couple of weeks, you'll be like, I ain't even going to bother to follow, all the links and doing the research, because you ain't going to find anything that's going to be wrong. It's going to be misquoted or whatever. When it is, it's brought to the attention, it's quickly fixed. Hey, we're human. We make mistakes. And, LB does the best he can to make sure he brings forth the most right on the money information you can possibly get. There's typos occasionally. You find one, point it out, we get in there and we fix it right away. So 15 years, whatever it's been, we're going on, 14 years, 15 years now, whatever it's been, that LB has brought the People Awareness Coalition together. And, sorry, folks, you're not going to find any negative out there. You're not going to find false information. It just doesn't exist with PAC. That's why we've been around so long. It's sad that there's so many disinformation agents out there and there's just, as I brought up earlier, so many citizens out there on the nipple of the government that will, fight to their last breath and, to their last blood drop for what these people tell them, the snake oil salesmen, including the government and the powers to be in all this, simply because they don't want to lose their benefits. They don't want to know the truth. That's why I see all the time these 99% or whatever they're called, and these other people, it's the largest awakening we ever had. And I look at them like, really? Because you're 99% of you morons that sit there and walk around claiming you're awake. The only thing you're awake to is a deeper brainwashing, because you're far from reality of awake. You're far from the truth movement as you can possibly be. Second, somebody tells me I'm awake, and I ask them, are you a citizen? Oh, and they sit there and say proudly, oh, yeah. What country you live in? They say the United States of America. I laugh my ass off. I laugh right in their face. I'm like, and you think you're awake, bud? Dude, you are so deep in that rabbit hole. You are so far brainwashed and asleep. You have no idea. Why don't you
I'm
join
awake.
the 1% that really know what's going on? Because you clearly don't know your ass from the hole in the ground. But, yeah, that's what I had to say on that. I hope that answers your question there, please. If not, I'm sure I'll touch base with you in the chat room. If not during the week, definitely next week. But, yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. There's so many people out there that have these great big followings that really don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't know their ass from the hole in the ground. They may have a little bit of it right. Not saying they're all 100% wrong. Okay, in order for a good scam to be fallen for, it has to have some right information in it. Okay, it's got to have some glimmer of hope, something that sounds, legitimate. But just because it sounds legitimate, the old saying of if it looks too good to be true, it's probably not. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
The other thing I want to share with you, I don't like where the those of you who start, I recommend there's a little false information in it. Don't get me wrong. A couple of the things are a little bit, but it's more right than wrong. They have of more right than wrong. Let's put it that way. You can sit there and you go to, I don't know the site. You can Google a site and find it. There's a couple of different versions out there, but it's called The Republic, the house that no one lives in.
Yep.
It's a really good book. It's not that long. It's you can get it online free. There's a couple of different sites that you can read it off of. It's not that long. It's not 100% right, but it's a good starting point. If you're just getting into this, you want to see an outside view of things, if you were, outside the pack. So just everything pack. Yeah, which you will end up being afterwards as you get deeper and deeper in your education. You will realize that you don't need to go anywhere else because there is false information, or not so much. I'm going to say false. It may not be false. It's just maybe a wrong date, maybe a misunderstanding of a specific item or something like that. It's not 100% correct, but it's an excellent, it's definitely worthwhile read. It will definitely open your eyes. And just think about the title. It goes hand in hand with, about the State National. We're in the Republic. It's the house that no one lives in. Those seats are no longer there. It's all de facto, no longer de jure. It's all democracy, no longer a republic. And that's how you can tell the difference between one from the other. The organic is the republic. We don't live in a republic. We live in a democracy. All right. We live in a democracy because of the 14th Amendment. That's the only reason we live in a democracy. All your individual states, everything, the whole union was always a republic. They formed the 10-mile square D.C. To create a more perfect union, a better union. They had the good, the right intentions, if you will, at the beginning with the forefathers type of deal. But yeah, that was where we went from a republic to the democracy. And just like some of the forefathers have been quoted saying in one aspect or another, I'm going by memory, quote me, I think it was George Washington or Jefferson. One of them were asked when they had left the meeting that day, it was all over and said and done with. Well, what do we have? What do we have? And he turned around and said, well, you have a republic. If you can keep it. Exactly. And that's the whole point, folks. We weren't able to keep it. We went to sleep. Just like in Rome. Everybody picks on Rome. Rome was a republic. Rome started out as a republic. Just like the Union, just like, good old USA. They started out as a republic and quickly became a democracy. And from democracy, it became a, whatever the next step is, totalitarian, dictatorship, whatever you want to refer to as it. But in its beginning, in its early ons, it was a republic. Just look it up in history. They even say so. And that's the path we're on today. We've gone from the republic to the democracy, which is nothing but communism and socialism, all fascism, all the isms all joined together, mixing pool of madness of world power. You know, the powers to be, the elites, the wealthy, whatever you want to call it. But you know, our next step, and it's, well, I feel it's right around the corner. I think we're living in the times for sure of it. Is the, you know, the dictatorship, the full dictatorship, where you're not even going to see the so-called democracy, the ruse of the red herring of so-called voting, and that you have, you know, you have a say, and your word and your voice matters, and all this other crap. You're quickly seeing all that go away. You're quickly seeing the curtain starting to open. And I really believe that within the near future that you're going to see that curtain fling all the way open. And that's when everybody's going to wake up. And at that point, it's just going to be too late. We've been dumbed down by the school system. We've been dumbed down by the drugs and chemicals we put in our system that, you know, that they pushed into our systems, whether through vaccines, whether through some other means. And as we brought up at the early on in the show today, even in our food. So they got you coming and going, folks.
Doc?
Yes, sir.
Did you just say that they might be taking the velvet glove off the Iron Fist?
Yeah, you can put it that way, that's for sure.
It's what it sounded like. I mean, from what I'm seeing, and it's validated by what LB has seen.
Yes.
Yeah, I do believe they'll be taking the velvet glove off that Iron Fist very soon.
Real soon.
And I think it's coming. It's going to be rough. It's going to be real rough because people aren't listening. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing and listening and learning how to at least defend themselves correctly.
Yep.
You know, just in case we get a chance at being heard in any type of court. You know, but, you know, we're trying. God knows we're trying. But hey, you know, it leaves me speechless. Sometimes I see some of the things people are putting out there, and it leaves me dumbfounded and confused at how they could look at things such as this from such a moronic, insane point of view that really has no basis in language. Therefore, it would have no basis in law, and it would have no basis. Honestly, I don't think it would have any basis in regular life. Because, I mean, from some of the things that people have said and are saying, it comes out all upside down when they speak. You know, some of the things they say don't make any sense at all. And I think I know that many of them do it intentionally. I know there's some that may be trying to do it to help. But it's very hard to see how they're actually helping when they're adding to the problem. You know? And the thing that really confuses the heck out of me is that you and I and LB and various others, we've sat there and we've given them all the information they can possibly use, you know. And how far has it gotten us? Yeah, it gets frustrating, don't it? Well, I think I'm all talked out for the day. I'm sure I've said plenty. But, yeah, don't fall for the bullshit. Don't fall for the lies. Learn the law. Learn where it comes from. Learn what words they use, where the words come from. Don't assume that you know just because you can crack a dictionary open to the front page or the last page. There are rules in the dictionary as to how all those prefixes and suffixes are supposed to be used. There are rules to reading a dictionary properly. There is, and just about every dictionary I've ever cracked open has etymology written into it, and if you bother to look through the etymology, you will see that not all the words come from the same languages. And that some people are going to walk. I can just see it right now. Some people are going to take that convoluting of the language and not reading the etymology and not using prefixes and suffixes correctly, and they're going to start walking into these courtrooms, and they're going to be saying words, and these judges are going to look at them, and because it's rude and it's not allowed, the judges will probably call, some sort of a hold on the meeting or on the court. They'll walk into their back room because they can't hold the laughter any longer. And they're going to sit in that back room and laugh and get it all out of their system before they come back to the bench. That's what they're doing when a so-called judge abandons his ship. He's not abandoning any ship. What he's doing is he's going to chambers, and he is laughing so hard. If he could get the DA and the sheriff and everybody else back there, you'd actually be able to hear the laughter coming through the walls. I'm surprised you can't, but you'd be able to hear it. And it's laughter. That's why they leave the bench and they go into chambers, because they can't help but laugh about it. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And it sounds funny. If you listen to it from the correct, and you pull out a dictionary and you know what a dictionary is supposed to do and how to use it, and you go to listening to people saying this stuff, and you're trying to look up the words that they're saying and the meaning that they're using for those words, it just don't fit. It doesn't fit anywhere. You'd have, matter of fact, you'd probably have my first grade and second grade teachers stick you in a corner and have you redo the entire alphabet, relearn it, and start to relearn words, because they would be so concerned. They'd be like, where the heck did you get your education? You're not correct.
No.
How did your education get turned upside down? And that's my question. How did you allow your education to get turned so far upside down? Because that right there was one of my first questions to guess who? Me. Where did I go wrong? How did I allow my education to get so turned upside down that I have no idea what my rights are? I found myself in a jail cell asking that one question over and over and over. And I could not come up with an answer. So I said, okay, either it is my education or it is the system. Well, as it turns out, it was partly my education.
Oh.
But it was also partly the system. And since I did not have anything to do with writing out the system and making up the system, I can say, okay, the only fault that I have is that my education, I need to forward. It's not that I need to correct it so much, I need to forward it. Well, how do you forward an education? Hey, maybe you read, the first pages of a dictionary on how to use a dictionary. Actually, it probably says it's something more like how to use this dictionary. And in there, it will give you this real pretty list of things that are contained inside the dictionary. I can't believe I'm having to go this far for this. You know what that list is called? A good cook would call it a list of ingredients. Well, I'm not such a very good cook. Well, yeah, maybe I am. I don't know. But it'll tell you what's in the dictionary. There's a guide to the dictionary, and it tells you how to use the guide words, the entry words, variants, syllabication, about syllables, equal variants, parts of speech labels, inflected forms. There's a lot to this. I have read these things in various dictionaries. That's why I know how to use a dictionary. There's a pronunciation key, table of alphabets. And the table of alphabets, I'm just going to, just to kind of make a point. It shows you the Hebrew alphabet, the Arabic alphabet, the Greek alphabet, the Cyrillic alphabet. And some dictionaries go deeper. They do go a lot deeper. But it'll show you Roman, uncial, Carolingian, minuscule, italic, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on. And you get past all the words, you flip to the very back, usually on the back, on the hardcover, and the very last page on the cover. It will show you where languages came from. And it'll say something like Proto-Indo-European circa 5,000 years before Christ. That would be like 7,000 years ago.
Wow.
And it'll show you in there, it will tell you Balto is Slavic, Germanic, Celtic, Italic, Indo-Iranian, Tocharian. And from the Germanic comes North Germanic, West Germanic, East Germanic. And from there, It breaks it down even further. It says Icelandic, Faroese, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, English, hello, Frisian, Flemish, Dutch. See, I said English is a Germanic language. And it is. It is. Now, from the italic, you have the Latino Pelaskan and the Osco-Umbrian languages. Well, from those two, you have Latin. Well, from the Latino Pelaskan, you have Latin. And from Latin comes your Portuguese, Spanish, Catalan, Provençal, French, Italian, Rado-Romance, and Romanian. Well, guess what? I speak one of those languages also. I speak the Spanish. I understand some Portuguese. I understand some French. I understand some Italian. But I would probably understand a little bit of all of those languages because they're all brother and sister languages. And that's why I'm telling you, you got to know what the root words are. You got to know how to find the etymologies on these words. And it's in there. It's in the dictionary. You know, in there it'll tell you. You probably have to find the very last page of the letter Z, and then go one more, and ta-da! It says Indo-European and the Indo-Europeans, and it starts giving you all kinds of information about language. And then it gives you the guide to the appendix. And that is where you start getting serious knowledge about how to use your dictionary. It tells you about about the words, how they start, where they come from, what their basis on, and what certain things mean. And it's not just suffixes and prefixes, and it has a lot to do with it. A lot. And that's how you start to correct your language. That's how you start to correct your education. You start to understand math. You start to understand science better. You start to understand biology better. When doctors say all these weird words that nobody understands, duh, it's all right there. Oh, wait, that's what the doctor was saying. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, easy. Once you get a couple of the key of how to break it down into its part from its correct Latin usage, understand how to do that and whatnot. It's real easy to understand your doctors. It's not that hard. I could actually, I don't know if I have my book still here later on, so I can pull out one of my old books from when I was in medical classes and pharmacology, and I could teach you in probably 15 minutes the proper way to, and what all those little dots and lines and codes and all that stuff mean, how to read a prescription. It's a form of shorthand. It's not that hard to understand once you get a glimpse at it. And then, of course, it's for the pharmacist, and they type out the whole thing in long form, if you will, for the average person, so they know, okay, yeah, take this 3 times a day, blah, 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 whatever the directions may be. But if you look at a prescription itself, and you're lucky if you can even read what the prescription, the medication itself is, let alone how often you're supposed to take it or anything else. It's just the way it is. But yeah, it's not that hard. You're going into all the different books and languages. Excuse me a minute. Oh, damn, hate that. You're all the different languages. I got all that stuff, including going into several different forms of hieroglyphics. You're a hieroglyph, which is basically the art of pictures, to make a word type of deal. you think right away back to the Egyptian time. Well, it goes back even further than that, and it's not only the Egyptian. This is why it was just the Egyptian form of hieroglyphics. It would be real easy for archaeologists to translate a lot of stuff. The problem, it's not. They're not the only ones with this picture type of language. There are several others from around the globe that had a very specific, language pertaining to the hieroglyphics. So, this is why when you come across some tablets, you'll even see a mixture of language where they'll use more than one language. That's usually done and used specifically for a date. Okay, you'll find that at different tablets, landmarks, so on and so forth. Actually, have gone back to the Knights Templar once they were chased down and hunted down when the original 20 of the group were captured and killed, while the others actually got away and moved on to other lands. They came with the special order of monks that they actually traveled with often. And they were actually, it goes back to, everybody says, who discovered America? Christopher Columbus. Well, that's so wrong, it ain't even funny, it makes me sick. Actually, your Knights Templars and all them, and those particular breed of monks, and the Vikings, they've been traveling and doing trade and doing claim markers here in the United States, America, whatever you want to call it, thousands upon thousands of years prior Christopher Columbus's time. So, it's another thing of the so-called taught history that is so false that makes me sick, because we just don't teach us the right information. But the point is, there you will find that we're talking about multiple languages. You will often see two languages on a tablet. When you see two things that just, it looks like it was written by two different people, in other words, because two totally different languages being used, that is actually a date, a very specific date. And they do that is because most people don't understand the old hieroglyphic of a certain hand compared to, okay, well, they look at this and say, okay, well, this is a date. Well, we want to change it somehow, or we want to erase it. Like you always saw through Egyptian history, they often erased a lot of the previous pharaohs. They would deface their statues. They would, they did this to erase that person because now there's a new pharaoh. So it's like, this is a date. Well, let's just change this or erase that date. But they didn't realize that in a different language was also written the exact date. So they wouldn't mess with that part because they didn't know what it was. And that was just a way of securing that unmarked grave, that land claim. It was done on stone and left at the space, or a location, whatever it may be. So you're also going to see multiple languages. If you're really into language, and how I got into, especially the tablets, so we go way back prior to your English and prior to all the other stuff, and even going right back to the creationism of creationism, if you will, all the way back to pre-physical existence, and go back into even as far as into the spiritual realm of things, spiritual side of things, prior to the eating of the apple, as I like to call it. There's a ton of great study information out there. I studied a lot of it many, many years ago, and still find myself often on a regular basis going and checking it out, just to refresh my memory. But you go back there, it's Lost Books. It's it's the Lost Books, the Lost Tablets. It's actually easier to find as the law. Let's see, the web address is thelostbooks, plural with an S.com. Go check that out. It's got all the old tablets, all the old, so you're going to find all kinds of stuff and gospels that were never printed in the original Christian. You're going to find even, the Gospel of Adam, the Gospel of Eve, Gospel of Jesus. The list just goes on and on and on, even just beyond biblical references, but all through history with all the old tablets. Gilgamesh, and it's just really it's a fantastic adventure if you're really into history and into studying and want to get into all that crazy stuff. A lot of good things. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can a lot of fun with it. You can learn a lot of stuff. You'll be introduced to a lot of things you never even thought imaginable before. So it's pretty cool. It ain't something you're going to absorb overnight. Something it's a hobby. It's something I did for many, many years, and a lot of great things. We only had probably about 10, 15 minutes left here for BTR decides to throw us out for the night. We didn't get a chance to thank you for joining us in the live session, but we want to thank you here in the archives for joining us like you do each and every week, and always look forward to hearing from you. Anybody else have anything else on their mind? We can keep going this last couple of minutes here. We can call it a night, whatever you all want to do.
How about you, Jesse?
Not really, no. Listen like I always do. Just getting ready to go to work for the lazy, that's all.
Well, I do believe I made my point. I think I made my point perfectly clear. If a person doesn't understand exactly what I'm saying from everything that I've said tonight, there's just not going to be any getting through to them at all. And, what can I say if I can't get through to a person? I don't like giving up on people.
No. Never give up.
I really don't.
I've been, I know there's a lot of new listeners, too, that have been popping in from my ATS threads and all. They can't catch the live show. They do pop in over to the archives. I hope, guys, if you're popped in and just grabbing this for first show for you, it might be the first show you're popping into, and you're wondering what all this craziness that's going on, or all these different topics, when originally you may ran into this because of the law threads or something from over there at the PAC sites. Please always go back to the first shows. That will help you with your studies in the law. You're going to find the PDF links. If you found my thread, you found most of those links. You can also find them here over on Freedom Reigns under our team. Click on my name. You'll find the first, I think, 4 shows are archived here with the study links for that. Beyond that, you're pretty much on your own unless you have a question or comment. I've been doing this on air now for Freedom Reigns 4 years. Coming on our 4th year here. Started doing this with Freedomizer Radio, which is the same place Theatrics started out, and that's how we hooked up together. And I've been teaching this kind of information. ZipPac's been out there almost, 14 plus years, almost 15 years now. We're not going anywhere. Yeah, we're here. You can only say it so many ways. Like you said, if they don't understand you tonight, they don't know what else you can do. But we don't give up on you. We're always here. No such thing as a dumb question, folks. Trust me. Every time you got a question and you ask, it's not only on your mind. There's thousands and thousands of other people with the same exact question, but didn't have the courage to ask it. So even if you don't want to, if you want to stay anonymous, but call in with your question or send us an email or, get a hold of us in the chat room. Either way, if you don't want to have your name given out there, that's fine. Not a problem. But don't be embarrassed. Please ask the questions. That's how we learn. If I don't have the answer off the top of my head, I'll get you a link. I'll get you pointed in the right direction. There's at least 20 some odd links on my PAC thread, PAC educational thread. It's been up there on ATS now for a couple of years, I guess now. You'll always find great starting points there throughout that thread. You're going to find additional links to PAC's information and studies, including the DD programming, great interactive movie based on The Matrix. Exciting year coming up. We finally have the new release for the Red Amendment we've all been waiting for. Thank God that's done and out. So, make sure you get your updated copy of that. We have our live classes. You want to get together, you want to pick LB's brain, that's the place to do it. Get in those classes. They'll probably start on a regular basis. Once we get that first class filled, you're probably only going to do about 5 or 6 students maybe per session. So this way it doesn't get overcrowded. It's going to fill up fast. So we'll just have to take it one day at a time. But if you really want to pick LB's brain, those are the classes you want to take. Get in there. There's introductory and all the way on up through advanced class, including classes going into your advanced class. Pretty much go right on up into getting your fresh status and everything. So a lot of exciting stuff. You can probably get one-on-one with LB and teachers and the Red Amendment. If you're taking the classes all include a copy of the latest copy of the Red Amendment. So when you take those classes, that's included in the price. So yeah, a lot of exciting things coming up here for the coalition. Glad that you're a part of the family, because that's what we are. Is we are a family. Your problem are our problems. We're here to help you every way we can. You'll never stand alone when you stand with PAC. With that, God bless, be safe, and we'll be back next week.
We off? All right. Well, good night, everyone.
Good night, Jose. Unless you had something else you wanted to add before.
Good night, y'all.
No, I am pretty much talked out, Doc.
Yeah, amen. I hear you. All right, yes, y'all be good, and we'll talk to you guys in a little bit there in Skype like we do. For the rest of our listeners, again, thank you for joining us. And don't forget to catch us here every Thursday night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. Till then, good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Bye.